Welcome to Real Estate Coaching Radio, starring award-winning real estate coaches and #1 international best-selling authors, Tim and Julie Harris. Real Estate Coaching Radio is the nation's #1 daily radio show for realtors who demand authentic, real-time coaching. Get ready for fluff-free, unfiltered, full-strength honesty about what's truly working to get you into action, helping others, and making money now in today's real estate market. Now to our hosts, Tim and Julie Harris.
3, 2, 1, and we're back. Julie, welcome. And it's January the 26th. We've got a really cool topic today. You didn't actually give this one a title, but I like the concept of it. I was looking through your notes. And the gist of it is basically a 5-day challenge.
Yes, just 5 days. You know, when we were doing the goal setting stuff in the last quarter of last year and then some of the podcasts this year, we talked a lot about making your goals in shorter amounts of time, right? So if you think that you're going to take 90 days to do something, maybe give yourself 45. And so this is an even smaller chunk of time, obviously, 5-day work challenge.
Well, what I like about this especially is this is one of those things you could implement because it is an organized plan. That if they're essentially feeling like they need to have laser focus on moving forward, because this is, well, hell, any time of year, but this is the time of year where people hopefully have gotten their real estate treasure map done. They've hopefully gotten their business plan done. And if not, guys, you can download our free fill-in-the-blank business plan. Just text 2021 to 855-685-1045. Text 2021 to 855-685-1045, and we'll text you back a link to download your real estate treasure map. Do print that out immediately and then start filling it out. And that's going to answer all the questions that, frankly, I was hoping you would have had answered by now. It's your obviously your goals for your business and personal life, but we're going to co-create with you your actual plan to implement those goals, which is the usual failing of most people's goals this time of year. So we know statistically that most people give up on their goals in about 60 to 90 days from now. And the reason they get distracted from them is because they don't actually have a plan to implement them. That's what the real estate treasure map is all about. It's not just writing them down and creating your vision boards and doing all these sort of trendy things that people have been doing for 1,000 years. This is about actually implementing a plan to accomplish your goals. And every single minutia, every single little, tiny intricate detail, that's what has to be in your treasure map. That's what has to be in your business plan, because then you have a course to follow. So text 2021 to 855-685-1045. But what I like about your 5-day work challenge, I'll come up with a better name for it, is that maybe I will. We'll see, that's pretty good, is that the plan is great for somebody who is feeling like they're starting to get pulled in too many different directions and needs to refocus.
Yes, that's right. And so here's a warning. This is the work part of implementing your actual plan. We mentioned the other day that we don't want you to mistake the setting of the goals as the same thing as pursuing your goals. Yes, you have to sort all that out and post it. That's all great. But now you have to actually work towards those goals. So here's a question. This is about 50% mindset, 50%, action items here. So are you working proactively or passively? Are you spending 80% of your day generating new business or 80% of your day doing what you call work theater? Okay. So how do you know? What would happen if you took the 5-day work challenge? We're going to get there in a second. So
So let's edit what you just said. Not edit, but let's just enhance, okay? So I like what you said there, and that is the fallacy that most agents do. They'll spend 80% of their day doing the shiny object thing.
And we're going to sort that out in a second.
Right. They're going to look for 80%, if not more, of their time is going to be spent chasing shiny objects. And shiny objects include look, guys, we went over a very detailed plan for something for you to do when you're new in the business or returning to the business. And we went over that in last week's podcast. Make sure you listen to that. It was very, very popular. A lot of, like, tens of thousands of you downloaded that plan. And the essence of it, what we're hoping that you would understand from the plan is if you're not spending 80% of your time being a proactive lead generator and having direct conversations with the people that are actually going to sign purchase contracts, you're really not working. And one of the litmus tests I suggested is, are you putting yourself in a position to hear the word no from a seller, ideally, at least 5 times a day? And if you're not really working. You're doing what we call work theater.
That's right. So the 5-day work challenge is to work 5 days in a row. Doesn't matter if they're weekdays or weekends, 5 days in a row, work days. Spending 80% of your time doing only proactive lead generating related activities. Okay, so here's how you're going to know the difference. You're going to make a graph. You're going to have a left-hand side of the page and a right-hand side of the page. On the left-hand side, you're going to name it proactively working towards my goals. And there are only 6 things that belong on that side. Okay, so don't try and elaborate or be creative. There are only 6 things that belong on that side. That is lead generation, lead follow-up, pre-qualifying, presenting, negotiating, and closing. That's it. Okay, so generating leads, following up on them, pre-qualifying, presenting, negotiating, and closing. Presenting can be obviously listing presentations, but also presenting homes and presenting offers. And, a lot of things go into that bucket, but they are all related to you actually generating income. Now, on the right side of the page, you're going to title that Work Theater, things I can delegate or things that look like work, but are actually unproductive, passive, or waiting on types of things.
We could vamp on that whole work theater thing forever because it's pretty hilarious. Because if you think about it, you're acting like you're something you're not. And in this case, you're acting like you're working.
Yeah.
And you're playing a role of somebody who's
pretend.
Actually working. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Work theater.
So how do you know it's work theater? Well, here's some hints. Anything starting with the words waiting, tweaking, or analyzing. Work theater. Looks like work. Nope, not work. Anything you're waiting on somebody else to do, where you could have been proactive instead. Lead generation easy buttons that you've paid for and are hoping that work. Social media that is not directly related to supporting your listing or buyer sides. Anything that looks or smells like that.
If you're using the word funnel, let's have some fun with it, right?
Branding.
What are the words that they basically, if they're using or have exchanged, have conversations about any of these words, they're probably using these words. They're probably a little bit too far off target with regards to doing activities that are going to put themselves in a position to help people and make money. I'll start out. I already said it. Funnel. Your turn.
Okay.
You can't repeat.
Double opt-in.
Okay. Landing page.
Oh, yes. Let's see. I don't know. What's that? Impressions.
Branding.
Branding. I can't even say it because we don't really.
Come on,
coach
Julie.
it, so
dig in.
I don't know.
When you hear a coaching client say words to you, what are the ones that make your skin crawl? Where they're going to go broke because they're not actually doing the real work of real estate. What are the other words?
Drip campaign.
Right. Logo.
Okay. Logo.
Every time I hear the question, I want to build a team or start a team.
Yes. Anything team related.
That is somebody who's all of a sudden going to follow the thought with, I want to build a team or start a team with, I don't need to make profit in my business for 2 or 3 years as I build my team.
Yes.
Right.
Researching. Lots of things that are in the analysis paralysis, working on, tweaking, researching. Let's see. Interviewing people for random jobs that you don't really need help with.
So you guys, here's the challenge you've got, and I sympathize with you. I really honestly do. None of you come from a background of having any sort of really meaningful real estate, success, or maybe even business success. I'll start by saying business success primarily. Some of you are very, very successful real estate practitioners in your own right, and maybe even more successful than Julie and I in our careers. We're honored to have some of the best and the brightest in the industry. Now, we're starting to become a global coaching company as well. But for a vast majority of you, you came into real estate with no business background, and frankly, probably weren't really successful at anything in a meaningful way for very long anyway, prior to, essentially getting your real estate license. Let's just keep it real here, guys, okay? So the reality also then is going to be that you don't know how to go about making decisions that are going to result in you building essentially a long sustainable business, and you get sucked into the vacuum of these tornado rooms of Facebook and all these other things that are out there where people are using all these modern business terms that are centered around buying business. The one thing you'll notice that none of these people ever talk about is profit. They don't talk about making money because all the people talking about this stuff either are deluding themselves completely or they're in the business of trying to essentially sell you the fantasy. So you need to ask yourself these simple questions when you're deciding who you're going to listen to. Number 1, have they sold real estate? Number 2, did they sell real estate at a high level? Number 3, did they sell real estate at a high level for a long period of time? If the answer is no to any of those 3 questions, then you should absolutely not listen to what they have to say, assuming your goal is to learn how to sell real estate at a high level. It doesn't make sense. I'm not saying they don't have something to offer, but I'm saying you can get better quality information by just focusing on going directly to the people who have their hands in the air right now saying, yes, I want to sell my house. All of these sort of, shiny nickel, silver bullet, shiny light, all the other
passive stuff.
It's all the passive stuff. It's all generated around, or the idea of it is that you're going to go out and buy leads and do branding that hopefully will generate leads. It's all around lead generation. Lead generation in real estate is easy. Take a listing.
Well, that's our point here. Okay, so stay with me on this. All right, so everything that Tim just rattled off goes on the right-hand side of the page, okay? Work theater looks, sounds impressive, but he just gave you a filter to run it all through. Okay, so I asked our Premier Coaching members to be honest. How much of your time are you actually spending doing activities that lead directly to business? Remember, that's the left-hand side of the page. What were the responses? Well, we had mixed responses, many of them very honest, of course, but a lot of people confessed that they're doing things they previously thought were productive and now realize are passive. Okay, so that's why we do these podcasts, to help you guys sort all of that stuff out. Okay, so that's when we created the 5-day work challenge. What were the results? Okay, so the 5-day work challenge, again, is spending 80% of your time doing dollar productive activity. That's on the left-hand side of the page, right? So we're only on day 3 so far of this challenge in Premier Coaching, but we've got lots of amazing responses. Agents, this is so funny, they're shocked in the difference that this type of focus makes. More appointments, of course, but also much better awareness of what actually gets results. I know you've had coaching calls like this before where they're like, I made 3 calls to expireds and I set 2 appointments.
Well, it's
and it's like, what did you think was going to?
It's a double-edged sword too, because if they come from a long history of believing in the bullshit, frankly, it's very difficult for their egos to admit that the past version of themselves was so stark, raving mad about the things that they believed were true, right? And yes, you're right. Guys, this is the difference between real estate and any other industry. If you think about this, in any other industry, you have to go out and find your customers, and let's assume your customer is a seller. You have to go out and look for them. In this industry, you don't. Because the sellers self-identify because they're the expireds, the for sale by owners, the list pens, the notice of defaults, the probate listings. We teach you guys 50 different sources of lead generation, and all of it basically doesn't cost you anything. It costs you your effort to have to learn the skill to actually learn how to be a proactive lead generator. So in any other industry, you have to go seeking the customer. In this industry, the customer has their hands in the air saying, yes, please help me sell my damn house.
Yes, but see, this is a disadvantage they have, is that nobody is really, nobody's really supervising the work part of the day, right? And a lot of them are surrounded by other people that think the same stuff, and it's become acceptable to sort of wait for business, and you haven't done. We talk about this all the time.
Well, it's the whole branding thing, Julie. Yeah. That's the whole idea. How many people do you guys hear nowadays that tell you that you need to be spending all your time working on your brand? What does that even mean? Have you ever thought about that? You don't think about that because you just hear so many people saying it. You must think it's true. I have to work on my brand. No, you don't. You have to work on your skills so you can actually proactively lead generate. When you take a listing, I promise you're going to have to beat the buyers off with a stick. Learn how to be a powerful listing agent. See this other stuff for what it is. It's fluffery.
That's right. So agents are shocked at the focus and the results that they're getting. But so here's some homework. We're going to drill down a little bit more. Set specific goals for what results you need from your 5-day work challenge.
You didn't tell them what the 5-day work challenge was specifically, though.
2 or 3 times up there. 80% of your day is spent doing the things on the left-hand side of the page, which were lead generation, lead follow-up, pre-qualifying, presenting, negotiating, and closing.
So what we should do is, since you basically gave them an overview of what those things should be, we need to help them to drill down on what exactly they should be doing, right?
Right.
That's what you're getting to. Oh, I see. I'm stepping on your notes.
It's okay. So the specific homework is, what are the results that you need? I'm going to use an example. Jen Gennaro, who sells real estate in Louisiana. She is doing the 5-day challenge, and her specific goal is to set 4 pre-qualified listing appointments in the next 5 work days. Okay? And I know she'll do it because anytime she calls, this is a funny thing about Jen. Anytime she actually calls expireds, she knows how to set appointments. She actually gets the appointments. And so that gives me more ammo to harass her with every week, right? So if you knew that every time you pick up the phone, you can set appointments, how many are you going to do this week? And so we had this conversation on her coaching call that, look, a 5-day work challenge, anybody can handle that, right? Some of you guys, your specific results should be to actually make it to the end of your lead follow-up because you've been collecting so many alleged leads, you don't even know what appointments are in there. But we want you to be really specific. We have other coaching clients. I just talked to somebody that took a lot listing where the seller was completely convinced that the lot was worth $1 million, Guess what it appraised for? $200,000. So price reduction is the specific result that we've got to get there.
Well, so when they're trying to define exactly how many contacts, how many appointments, and all this stuff, they really should do the real estate treasure map.
Yes.
Because the real estate treasure map is going to give you all those numbers. And I'll just hack this for you guys. If your real estate treasure map tells you that you need 5 listings at all times to meet or exceed your financial goals, and definitely get the treasure map completed, guys. It's really imperative at this point. Just text 2021 to 855-685-1045. By the way, if you want to just skip the line and you want to move forward with one of our coaching programs, which many of you are doing right now, just go to timandjulieharris.com and then just follow the path that's right there on the front page when you land on the new website. Or you can just text the word education to 855-685-1045 and someone will call you back and we'll get you enrolled in one of our coaching programs. So just text the word education to 855-685-1045 and then we'll call you back. But here's the thing. With regards to this process, when you know what your real estate magic number is, let's say, for example, it's 5 listings at all times. If you had 5 listings at all times and your goal is to sell, say, for example, 40 houses per year, you can be assured in most markets, if you had 5 listings at all times, you're going to have at least 3 of those that are going to be in contract at all time. So your whole business model is to get to and maintain 5 active listings, and that's what we teach you how to do. And then for the most part, guys, in this market, you just stick them in the MLS and they're going to sell themselves.
That is the truth.
That is the bottom line.
Lucky for you guys.
Exactly.
Now, but the challenge is, of course, the speed in which things are selling. You've got to be prospecting. You've got to be proactive to replace them.
In my opinion, that is the challenge. I agree. But the challenge is setting their egos aside to realize that accomplish and being successful in real estate is not it. The complication is not necessary. And why are you guys so attracted to all these complicated things? Why are you so attracted to all these complicated multi-step funnels and these big ideas that one thing leads to the other, leads to the other, leads to the other? Why is it that you think that's what's necessary for you to be successful? When I'm here to tell you, and doesn't your common sense the common sense bell in your head just ring? Listen to what I'm saying. You do not have to search for people who want to sell their house. They self-identify. All this internet marketing stuff is built off the premise, and all the branding and all that other stuff you guys are buying into is built off the premise that you have to find customers. You do not have to find sellers. You can get lists of them for free, and you just then need to know how to proactively prospect them. It's not more complicated than that, I promise you. Now, if you choose to then enhance your proactive lead generation with marketing, then do it. But don't think you're going to be able to attract those people to you from passive lead generation. Statistically, it does not work that way. Please be clear about that. And if you're not going to listen to what I'm going to say, then unfortunately, you're probably going to become one of the statistics that fails out of this business within less than 24 months. And our research, anecdotal research, I'll give you that, is indicating that most people now are failing out of this business in about 12 to 14 months. And why? It's because they latch on to these shiny nickel, easy button ideas, and they never make any money. That's what we want to help you avoid is failure. Is that okay, Julie?
It is okay with me, yes. Well, and really, if you're not using the treasure map, you're guessing at your numbers because there's no facts behind it.
Well, thank you for reeling me back in, because 5 listings at all times, that means that you would need to make 5 contacts a day. So if you made 5 contacts a day, on average, and I don't know how it works out like this, it's almost psychological. Julie was just, trying to, I guess you woo-woo types would call it attraction, right? But, with Jen Gennaro, if she says she's going to take 4 listings, if she makes 4 solid seller contacts a day, she will almost certainly be guaranteed to have 4 listings inside a week, if not far more. But the key is doing the active activity every single day, and the activity is based on the number of actual listings that you need to have at all times. And that's your new life. That's your business. It's not exciting. It's boring, but guess what? It's incredibly profitable. And then you can tune out of all the noise and the static, the things that cause you to be frustrated, things that cause you to build needlessly long to-do lists that, frankly, none of those things need to be done. You just need to learn how to be a proactive lead generator and go after the people who have their hands in their air saying, yes, I need to sell a house. I was listening to a lady, Julie, the number one private jet. I was on Clubhouse. Yeah. And I told you about this. Mm-hmm. And she talked about, with the purchasers of private jets don't necessarily self-identify. So she can't just she can sort of kind of guess who's going to most likely want to buy a jet. Maybe it's net worth, maybe it's, industry, maybe it's all these other things, but they don't just self-identify. Oh, I'm sure some of them land on our website and say, I want to talk about jets. But for the most part, she has to go out there and find the potential clients for her. And the same goes with the listings. She has listings on her website. I looked at it. She has probably 30 or 40 private jets for sale, I assume they're all consignment. In those cases, she had to, obviously those people maybe contacted her in some cases, but for the most part, that she had to need. How is she going to know which of those sellers are thinking about selling their jets? What is she going to do? Just randomly call the jet owners that, she can get information on? Well, real estate is so much better than that, because real estate sellers oftentimes will have their hands in their air saying, yes, I want to sell my house. And I'm not talking about from internet lead generation. Internet lead generation, guys, has a tiny success rate. The average internet lead does not do anything for 18 months, and even at that, it's 2 or 3%. Why would you waste time doing that? It makes absolutely no sense. Well, it's because they don't know any better.
I know, but I bet you could probably just call random people out of whitepages.com or door knock your own street and get better results than that.
No doubt.
It's terrible. It's just terrible results. Like I can't think of anything else in life where 1 to 3% is acceptable doing anything.
So here's what I really truly believe. Yeah. I don't believe that people, like, if you would have asked me this maybe a generation ago, why aren't more people willing to do the proactive lead generation? I would primarily go to fear and all the usual answers, right? Fear of rejection, all that. Sure. But I don't think that's actually the answer anymore.
What do you think it is?
Well, it's because I think I'm very encouraged by the millennials and even people that are our age. There's so many people out there that I think COVID has supercharged a lot of people's life plans and shortened the amount of time they're going to give themselves to actually accomplish it. I think there are cultural changes that happen as a result of COVID that's going to cause, as this vaccine and herd immunity starts to kick in. We've been talking about this on our Sunday podcast. You're going to see people who maybe had given themselves psychologically 5 years to accomplish a specific goal. They're going to want to do it in 6 months because they're going to now have lived through what, by the way, guys, this is going to be the third worst pandemic in terms of people's deaths in the history of humanity. This COVID thing, that's how bad this actually is. And we're not being political. I'm just, giving you guys some facts. Right. So I think what you're seeing a lot of people in all age groups and demographics that don't want to screw around anymore, and they're done wasting time.
I see it with our coaching clients.
Yeah.
They're dialed in.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm very encouraged by that. And it's interesting how people are now saying, the try it types, they're no longer doing the try it. So in my opinion, the reason that so many more people are coming around to realizing what we've been saying forever is true with regards to proactive lead generation is because they are wanting to get to the point. They want to get to the finish line as fast as they can. But the reason that they aren't or haven't yet is because they don't have exposure to what we're saying.
I'm sure that's true.
Because our message is so drowned out amongst the ocean and the hurricane, the tsunami of these, internet lead generator, do it for you, complicated funnel drip campaign types.
Sure.
Everybody's saying the same thing except we are. We say something different. Us and maybe a couple other people in different industries.
Well, that's because we've actually sold real estate at a high level for a really long time in a multitude of different types of price ranges and markets.
So in my
opinion,
more people would be proactive lead generators if they had exposure to it.
Yeah.
Because this is when anyone hears what we have to say, I cannot imagine that they're not feeling a huge sigh of relief, realizing, like, when you guys do some of these fanciful ideas that so many of you are attracted to, and they don't work, who do you blame? Do you ever go back to say, well, maybe this whole idea was wrong? You don't, because you're still stuck in the echo chamber of everyone else saying the same thing. You blame yourself. Maybe you do it consciously or maybe you do it subconsciously. You sign up for a coach or a guru, or you buy some info product and guess what? It doesn't work. Or you generate a bunch of leads, but none of them actually transact. You're now essentially walking down the failure path because you're going to run out of money. You're doing the wrong thing. You're doing things in the wrong order. Learn to be a proactive lead generator, and if you want to make your business marketing enhanced thereafter, go for it. But you probably won't, because you'll frankly be doing enough transactions, helping enough people, and making more than enough money that you won't be attracted to the gimmicks as so many of you are now.
Yeah, that's so funny, and I can prove it with so many different coaching clients, because I think you're right, it's the lack of exposure, because maybe they don't actually know anybody.
That is what it is.
Who does it that way.
Right.
Which is actually really good for somebody who does do it that way.
I know.
Okay, because there's less competition.
Unfair advantage in the marketplace.
It's a totally unfair advantage. And the funny thing is, and I see this, I've been thinking about Chris in Chicago, one of our coaching clients. Okay, so for quite a few calls, it was the typical struggle getting ready to get started.
You made me listen. You made me listen to some of his calls.
Yeah. Okay.
It was painful.
And so there was a lot of that, and then just like it happens for anybody who keeps themselves in concentration and working on it.
Right.
Okay? Actively. I mean, he had us listening to his calls, actively working on it. Now he's like sending me this stuff all the time, setting appointments regularly. Once you know that you have that secret power, it's very addictive. Right. And so you're right. There's no need for all of the easy button, shiny nickel business, right? And I love to see coaching clients take to that.
But you're making the
I
regards.
love that.
Well, he's a millennial, right? And so he is definitely,
Yeah.
and so he's got little, kids and
4
like
under 4 is his
exactly,
theme, yeah.
right? So he's definitely not our age then, right? Okay, so what
Definitely motivated.
But he's a fascinating person, along with tens of thousands of our other listeners, because they know the other stuff's a gimmick.
Yeah, but when you really know it is when you start being able to set appointments on purpose. It's like a secret power. It really is. You are in so much more control when you get that skill going.
Yes.
And he knows, he's got, plenty of work to do, and it's getting better, but he's earning while he's learning. He's not waiting. He's not getting into analysis paralysis and being stuck. It's been really interesting for us to see him push through that and now have the ability to set appointments. He's able to set 1 or 2 a week, and I'm working him towards 1 a day and just getting it cranking out. I think he'll get there.
I'm sure he will.
But he's so much happier.
And he's in an ultra competitive seller's market where there's no inventory, nothing's for sale, there are no expires. None of that's true. There's always opportunities out there to contact sellers directly. So I want to leave you guys with this one thing. If you're looking for a dose of motivation, start with the Real Estate Treasure Map. Text 2021 to 855-685-1045, and then drill down, as Julie just gave you, on your 5-day massive action plan.
Yes, and I want to end with a quote from Michael Gerber, who wrote a book you guys all should read or listen to, The E-Myth, Why Most Businesses Don't Work Out and What to Do About It, Why Most Small Businesses Don't Work Out. Okay, he said, quote, "The difference between great people and everyone else is that great people create their lives actively, while everyone else is created by their lives passively, waiting to see where life takes them. The difference between the two is living fully versus just existing."
Oh, that's a good quote. We're not even going to try to do better than that. So listen, as always, guys, if you want to talk to Julie and I about joining our EXP group, we'd love to be your personal sponsors. So do contact us directly. You can text me at 512-758-0206. Julie and I would love to discuss Julie and I being your personal sponsors at EXP Realty. 512-758-0206. Have a fantastic day.
This program has been a presentation by Tim and Julie Harris, Real Estate Coaching. For more information on our real estate coaching and training programs, visit our website at timandjulieharris.com. Remember to tune in weekdays at noon for upcoming shows, and until next time, thank you for listening to Real Estate Coaching Radio with Tim and Julie Harris.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.